Bullies pick on the wrong single-dad janitor, not knowing she's a deadly black belt. The gymnasium is empty. Late afternoon light cuts through high windows, painting long shadows across scuffed hardwood. 4 teenage boys have a 7-year-old girl backed against the cinder block wall. She's crying. One of them is filming. 14. Athletic, emboldened by his father's money and the phone camera pointed at the scene. "This doesn't concern you," he says. "Leave." The janitor walks forward. Slow. Deliberate. Her footsteps don't make a sound. "Step away from my daughter," she says quietly. The boy laughs. He moves to block her path. Then he shoves her hard. Center of her chest. She doesn't move. Not an inch. The boy's smile falters. Something in the janitor's eyes has changed. Something. The way she's standing now, weight distributed perfectly, shoulders loose, hands open at her sides, it doesn't match the uniform she's wearing. The PE teacher who trains at the local dojo would recognize that stance immediately. The security guard who boxed in college would see the breathing pattern, controlled, rhythmic, combat-ready. But these boys see nothing. They only see a woman in a janitor's uniform. Someone they've been taught doesn't matter. The boy raises his hand to shove her again. "Last chance," the janitor says. "Move." He doesn't. What happens next takes 11 seconds. If you believe that the people society overlooks are sometimes the ones you should fear most, stay with this story. Because what happens when this video goes viral will shake an entire school district to its foundation. Before we begin, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments. Have you ever watched someone underestimate the wrong person? But to understand how a janitor became the most dangerous person in that room, we need to go back 3 years. To the day a champion decided to 3 years before that gymnasium, Maya Rodriguez pushed a mop across the marble hallway of Riverside Preparatory Academy at 4 in the morning. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The building was empty. Silent, except for the rhythmic swish of water against stone. She moved with precision. Each stroke covered exactly the same width. No wasted motion. Her shoulders stayed level as she worked, posture perfect even when bent over the bucket. When she lifted a 50-pound floor buffer with one hand to move it around a corner, she didn't grunt or strain. The families who sent their children here paid $40,000 a year for the privilege. They walked these halls during the day and never thought about who cleaned them. Maya preferred it that way. By 6:30, she was home. The apartment was small. 1 bedroom that Lily had, a pull-out couch in the living room where Maya slept. The kitchen was narrow enough that 2 people couldn't pass without turning sideways. But the windows faced east. Morning light came in warm and golden. Lily was already awake, sitting at the tiny table in her school uniform. 7 years old, small for her age, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail that Maya had taught her to do herself. "Morning, baby," Maya said. "Morning, Mama." Maya made breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice. She packed Lily's lunch while the eggs cooked. Turkey sandwich, apple slices, carrots, a juice box. She'd learned to prep everything the night before, so mornings went smooth. They ate together in comfortable silence. Lily swung her feet under the chair, humming something she'd learned in music class. "You have karate today," Maya said. The community center was a 10-minute drive. Maya dropped Lily at school first, waited until she disappeared through the double doors, then headed to her own apartment to sleep. She set an alarm for 4 hours. It was never enough, but it was what she had. That afternoon, she sat on a folding chair in the community center's multi-purpose room. A dozen kids in white gi uniforms lined up on the mat. The sensei, a man in his 50s with a kind face and a third-degree black belt, led them through basics. Front stance, punch, chamber, punch. Her weight distribution was nearly perfect for a beginner, but her back foot was turned out just a few degrees too far. Maya leaned forward slightly. "Lily," she said quietly. Her daughter glanced over. Maya tapped her own heel, rotated it inward just an inch. Lily looked down at her own foot, adjusted it, settled back into stance. The difference was immediate. Her balance improved. The next punch came from her center. The sensei noticed. He walked over, nodded approvingly at Lily, then glanced at Maya with a polite smile. "She's getting better every week. She work?" He nodded again and moved on. No follow-up questions. No curiosity about how a parent in a janitor's uniform knew enough to make micro-corrections to a 7-year-old's karate stance. The other parents sat in a cluster on the opposite side of the room, well-dressed. Then she said, "Mama?" "Yeah, baby? Am I doing the kata right?" Maya glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "You're doing great. How do you know?" Maya's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Just slightly. I used to train. A long time ago." "Were you good?" "I was okay." Lily seemed satisfied with that. She went back to looking out the window, watching the city slide past. Maya didn't elaborate. She never did. There were things Lily didn't need to know yet. Maybe ever. A whole life that existed before this one. Before James died and everything ended. They stopped for groceries on the way home. Maya let Lily pick out a snack for the week. Then dinner, homework, a bath, bedtime. The routines that held their small life together. After Lily fell asleep, Maya sat on the couch in the dark. She didn't turn on the TV, just sat there, listening to her daughter breathe in the next room. At 11:30, she changed back into her work uniform, tied her hair back, checked that Lily was still sleeping. Then she drove back to Riverside Preparatory for the night shift. The building was locked. She used her key card, slipped inside, started the routine again. Hallways, classrooms, bathrooms. The gym. The cafeteria. Room by room, floor by floor. At 2 in the morning, she opened her locker in the staff break room to grab fresh towels. A folded piece of paper fell out. She picked it up. Read it. A note from Lily's teacher, requesting Maya attend Parent-Teacher Day next Thursday at 10 in the morning. During the time Maya was supposed to be sleeping, the note was polite but firm. There were behavioral concerns that needed. She'd go. Of course she'd go. Lily came first. Always. But something cold settled in her chest as she went back to work. Behavioral concerns. Lily had never been a problem. She was quiet, well-behaved, got good grades. If the teacher needed to talk, it meant something was wrong. And Maya had a feeling she knew what kind of wrong it was. Maya arrived at Riverside Preparatory at 10 in the morning. She'd slept 3 hours. Her eyes burned. Her body ached from lifting equipment all night. But she'd changed into clean clothes, designer handbags, tailored suits, expensive watches catching the light. They moved in clusters, laughing, shaking hands with teachers. The smell of fresh coffee drifted from the staff lounge. Maya kept her head down and walked toward Ms. Chen's classroom. The teacher was waiting at her desk. Young, kind-faced, wearing a cardigan with small flowers embroidered on the collar. She smiled when Maya entered, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Ms. Rodriguez, thank you for coming." "Of course," Maya said quietly. Ms. Chen gestured to a small chair across from her desk. The chair was meant for a 7-year-old. Her knees came up awkwardly. Lily is a wonderful student, Ms. Chen began. She's bright, well-behaved, and her work is excellent. Maya waited. There was a but coming. But she's been withdrawn lately, quieter than usual, and yesterday she mentioned something that concerned me. What did she say? Ms. Chen folded her hands on the desk. She said another student has been pushing her. I asked her to tell me more, but she got upset and wouldn't elaborate. Maya's jaw tightened. Who? Ms. Chen hesitated, her fingers. I'm not supposed to share names without involving the principal, but since you're here, I think you should know. It's Ethan Hargrove. The name hung in the air between them. I wanted to bring it to your attention, Ms. Chen continued, so we can address it appropriately. Together. Maya nodded slowly. I appreciate that. What happens next? I'll file a report with Principal Watkins. We'll schedule a meeting with both families. Standard protocol. Thank you, Maya said. She stood, shook Ms. Chen's hand, walked back into the crowded hallway. Parents filled the corridor now, a sea of polished shoes and pressed clothing. Maya moved through them like a shadow, invisible, until a man's voice cut through the ambient noise. Excuse me, are you the janitor? Maya stopped, turned. The man stood near the lockers, surrounded by 3 other parents. Mid-40s, expensive navy suit, gold cufflinks, hair styled with too much product. His wife stood beside him in heels that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. I'm Maya Rodriguez, she said evenly. Lily's mother. Right, the janitor. Maya kept her voice calm, respectful. Mr. Hargrove, I'd like to speak with you privately, if possible, about the children. The children, he laughed. Not warmly. Is there a problem? There's been some conflict. I think we should discuss it. Richard's expression hardened. Conflict. That's an interesting word coming from someone who cleans toilets for a living. The parents nearby went quiet. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Maya felt heat rise in her chest, but she kept her face neutral. I'm just trying to make sure the kids are... What's not fine is you ambushing me in a hallway, making accusations about my son. I didn't accuse anyone. I asked to talk. Right, because someone like you is qualified to parent, let alone judge mine. His eyes swept over her. Dismissive, cruel. Look at you, playing single dad in a janitor's uniform. You think that's what a child needs? Maya's hands clenched at her sides. Mr. Hargrove, no male role model, no stability, just you, scrubbing floors and pretending you know what's best for a little girl. Maybe Lily's behavioral issues start at home. Ever think about that? Maya's breathing slowed, deepened, the way it used to before a fight. I'm not here to argue. I'm here for my daughter, and I'm here to protect mine from people like you. Richard turned to the crowd. This woman just cornered me in a hallway. Aggressive. Confrontational. Is this the kind of staff we want around our children? A security guard appeared at the end of the hall. Richard waved him over. This janitor is making me uncomfortable, Richard said smoothly. Making threat. I didn't threaten anyone, Maya said quietly. She's being aggressive, Richard insisted. I want her removed from campus, now. The guard's hand moved to his radio. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to come with me. Maya looked around. 20 parents watched in silence. Teachers stood in doorways, frozen. No one spoke. No one defended her. She saw Principal Watkins at the far end of the hall. Their eyes met. The principal looked away. Fine, Maya said. I'll go. The guard escorted her through the hallway, past Richard Hargrove, who stood with his arms crossed, smiling. As they reached the main doors, Maya glanced up. 2nd floor. Lily's classroom window. Her daughter was there. Small face pressed against the glass, crying. Their eyes met for just a second. Then the guard pushed open the door and Maya was outside, standing in the parking lot alone. She walked to her truck, got in, sat there with her hands on the steering wheel. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just breathed. In and out, slow and controlled. She hadn't said much all day, just quiet, distant. Finally, she looked up at Maya. "Mama?" "Yeah, baby? Why was that man so mean to you?" Maya sat down beside her daughter, pulled her close. She didn't have an answer that would make sense to a 7-year-old. Didn't have words to explain the kind of cruelty that came from someone who measured worth by the size of a paycheck. "Some people," Maya said slowly, "think they're better than others because of their job or their money. They forget that everyone matters." Lily leaned against her mother's shoulder. Maya kissed the top of her head. "So do you, baby. So do you." But as Lily drifted off to sleep that night, Maya sat alone in the dark and wondered how long she could protect her daughter from people who had all the power and none of the heart. Lily fell asleep quickly that night, exhausted from crying, from questions Maya couldn't answer. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic on the street below. Maya sat on the couch in the dark. She didn't turn on the TV, didn't reach for her phone. Just sat there. The photograph sat between a potted plant and one of Lily's school art projects, a simple frame. The glass needed cleaning, but the image inside was clear enough. Maya and James on their wedding day, both of them laughing, his arm around her shoulders, her hand on his chest. He'd been gone for 7 years. Sometimes it felt like yesterday. Sometimes it felt like a different lifetime entirely. Maya stood, walked to the shelf, picked up the frame. James had the kind of smile that made everyone around him smile. Before the medals and the sponsors and the magazine interviews, back when she was just a woman training at a small dojo in the Mission District, working double shifts at a restaurant to pay for lessons. She remembered the first tournament he'd attended. Regional competition, nothing major. She'd told him he didn't have to come. He'd shown up anyway, sat in the second row, cheered so loud the ref asked him to quiet down between matches. She'd won that day. 3rd-degree brown belt division, her first real victory. James had been waiting outside the locker room afterward, holding flowers he bought from a grocery store down the street, cheap carnations wrapped in cellophane. She'd kissed him right there in the hallway while her teammates whistled and laughed. Maya set the frame back on the shelf, carefully, exactly where it had been. The memories came whether she wanted them or not. San Francisco. 2115. The national championships at the Civic Center. She was 28 years old, competing in the women's heavyweight division, full contact Kyokushin. No pads, no protective, bare knuckles and discipline. She'd trained for 6 months straight, running at dawn, conditioning drills until her legs shook, sparring sessions that left her bruised and bleeding. James had wrapped her hands before every training session, held ice packs to her ribs afterward, never once asked her to stop. The final match lasted 2 minutes. Her opponent was taller, faster, younger, favored to win. But Maya had something the other woman didn't: complete control, economy of motion, the ability to turn defense into offense in the space between heartbeats. She'd won with a spinning leg kick to the solar plexus. Clean. Devastating. The kind of technique that ended fights. James had rushed the mat before the referee even raised her hand, lifted her off her feet, spun her around while the crowd roared. That was the first championship. 3 more followed: 2016, 2016, 2018. Each one harder than the last. Each one proving she belonged at the highest level. The dojo came next. Rodriguez Karate Academy. A small space, she taught kids and adults, beginners and advanced students, built a community. James handled the business side, the scheduling, the paperwork she hated. They made it work. The Olympic coaching offer arrived in early 2020. Development team for the 2024 Games, a chance to train the next generation of American fighters. Everything she'd worked for crystallized into one opportunity. James had opened the champagne that night, danced with her in their tiny kitchen, told her he was proud, told her she deserved it. He died 6 weeks later, asymptomatic until it wasn't. He'd collapsed at work. Gone before the ambulance arrived. 34 years old, Maya had been at the dojo when she got the call. Teaching a kids' class. Lily was 6 months old. At home with a babysitter, she remembered the drive to the hospital, the fluorescent lights in the waiting room, the doctor's face when he came to tell her. The funeral was packed. Students, friends, family, tournament officials, people who loved James, people who respected Maya. They'd stood in the rain, listening to a minister who'd never met him try to find words that mattered. Maya had held Lily through the entire service. The baby didn't understand, just fussed and squirmed, wanting to be fed, wanting to sleep, needing things that had nothing to do with grief. Afterward, Maya's sensei had pulled her aside, Thomas Yamada, the man who'd trained her since she was 22. He'd placed a hand on her shoulder and said nothing, because there was nothing to say. The Olympic Committee called 3 days later, asking if she was still interested. If she could start in 2 months. Maya had looked at Lily sleeping in her crib, 6 months old, no father, just a baby who needed her mother present, not training fighters halfway across the country. She'd declined the position. Closed the dojo a week later, stopped returning calls from former students, let her sponsorships lapse, packed everything she owned into a truck and drove to Portland because it was far enough away that no one would recognize her. The last thing she'd done before leaving San Francisco was take her 6th-degree black belt and all 4 championship medals and put them in a cardboard box. Sealed it with packing tape. Labeled it storage. Never compete again. Never draw attention. Never let Lily grow up watching her mother get hurt, or worse, watching her mother hurt someone else. Just be a mom. Just survive. Portland was supposed to be a fresh start. Anonymous, safe. Maya walked to her bedroom now. Lily was asleep in the next room, breathing soft and steady. She opened the bottom drawer of her dresser, pushed aside folded sweatshirts. The box was still there, sealed, untouched for 3 years. She lifted it out. Then she put it back in the drawer, covered it with the sweatshirts, closed the drawer. Some things were better left buried. The bruise appeared on Monday. Lily came home from school, dropped her backpack by the door, and went straight to her room without saying hello. Maya was making dinner. Chicken and rice, vegetables on the side. She turned off the stove and followed her daughter. Lily? No answer. Maya pushed open the bedroom door. Lily sat on her bed, still in her uniform, staring at the wall. "Baby, what's wrong?" Lily turned. "Nothing," she whispered. Maya sat down beside her. Waited. After a long silence, Lily rolled up her sleeve. The bruise ran from her elbow to her wrist. Dark purple, fresh. The shape suggested impact against something hard and flat. Maya's jaw tightened. What happened? Ethan pushed me. Into my locker. Did you tell a teacher? Lily shook her head. They don't listen. Maya took a breath. Let it out slow. We'll fix this. I promise. The next morning, Maya went to the school before her shift started. She found Principal Watkins in his office, a balding man in his 50s with reading glasses and a coffee-stained tie. "Ms. Rodriguez," he said without standing, "what can I do for you?" Maya stayed calm, professional. My daughter was assaulted yesterday. Ethan Hargrove pushed her into a locker. I'm filing a formal complaint. Watkins picked up a pen, made a note on a pad. I'll look into it. When? These things take time. We have procedures. How much time? I'll be in touch. He set the pen down, looked back at his computer screen. The conversation was over. 3 days later, Lily came home hungry. Maya asked why she hadn't eaten lunch. Lily said her lunch was gone. Someone had taken it from her desk and thrown it in the trash while she was in the bathroom. Maya called the school. Left a message. No one called back. She called again the next day. Finally reached Principal Watkins's secretary. I'd like to request a meeting, Maya said. Both families. To address what's happening. The secretary put her on hold. 5 minutes later, she came back. The principal can meet with you next Thursday. Requested the time off from work. Arranged for a neighbor to pick up Lily from school. On Wednesday, the secretary called. I'm sorry, Ms. Rodriguez. The meeting has been canceled. Why? The principal didn't say. Just that it's been postponed indefinitely. Maya sat in her truck in the parking lot that night, hands on the steering wheel. She didn't start the engine. Just sat there watching the empty school building. A woman in a cardigan approached her window, knocked gently. Maya rolled it down. Maya rolled it down. Ms. Rodriguez? The woman glanced around nervously. I'm Cheryl. I shouldn't be telling you this. Cheryl's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. But Mr. Hargrove called the principal yesterday. Told him to cancel your meeting. Said you were harassing his family. Maya's hands tightened on the wheel. Thank you for telling me. Cheryl nodded and hurried away. The next morning, Maya called the district office. Explained the situation. Asked to file a complaint against both Ethan Hargrove and the school's failure to act. The woman on the phone took her information. Promised someone would call back within 3 business days. Maya tried again a week later. Left a voicemail. Then another. Then another. The calls were never returned. Meanwhile, someone else was watching. Jordan Park taught PE and health at Riverside Preparatory. Early 30s, athletic build, hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She'd been at the school for 5 years, long enough to recognize the patterns of power and who wielded it. She'd also been training in judo since she was 12. Jordan noticed Maya during the night shifts. The way the janitor, weight always centered. When Maya carried equipment bags that weighed 50 pounds or more, she lifted them with one hand, no strain, no adjustment to her posture. Most people that size moved heavily, struggled with their own mass, but Maya moved like water, efficient, controlled. One afternoon, Jordan was walking down the main stairwell when a freshman tripped on the top step. The kid pitched forward, backpack swinging, about to tumble down 12 concrete stairs. Maya was mopping the landing below. She looked up, dropped the mop, moved. 3 steps, maybe 4. She positioned herself directly in the fall line and caught the student mid-tumble, absorbed the impact, redirected the momentum, set him upright. The whole thing took less than 2 seconds. Jordan stopped mid-step. That wasn't luck. That was trained reflex. The positioning, the timing, the way Maya had distributed her weight to absorb another person's mass without falling herself. Jordan had seen movements like that before. In the dojo. She waited until the student had collected himself and moved on. Then she approached. That was impressive, Jordan said. Maya didn't look up. Just doing my job. The way you moved. You've trained. Maya's hands stilled on the mop handle. Just for a second. I don't know what you mean. Martial arts, Jordan said quietly. You have a background. I used to train, a long time ago. What style? Maya picked up her bucket. I should get back to work. I'm not trying to pry. I just... Have a good day, Miss Park. Maya walked away, down the hall, around the corner. Gone. Jordan stood there. The way Maya moved wasn't recreational training. That was high-level discipline. Years of practice. Maybe decades. But Maya wore a janitor's uniform and lived in the kind of apartment complex where the rent was always late. If she'd been that good, why was she here? Why was she hiding? Jordan didn't have answers, but she filed the questions away. That evening, Maya was checking her phone after putting Lily to bed when the email arrived. From Human Resources, subject line, required meeting, urgent. Rodriguez, we need to meet with you regarding workplace conduct concerns raised by parents. Please report to the District Administrative Building Monday at 9 a.m. Failure to attend will be considered insubordination and may result in disciplinary action. Maya read it twice. Then a third time. Conduct concerns. Raised by parents. She didn't need to guess which parent. Richard Hargrove was coming for her job. The district administrative building smelled like old carpet and burnt coffee. Gray walls, fluorescent lights that hummed too low. Maya sat in the waiting area outside HR, hands folded in her lap. Patricia Moore's door opened at 9 exactly. The HR director was a thin woman in her 50s, steel gray hair pulled back tight, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. Ms. Rodriguez, come in. The office was small. A desk, 2 chairs, motivational posters on the walls. Patricia sat behind the desk and opened a manila folder. She didn't offer Maya coffee or small talk. I'll get right to the point, Patricia said. We've received multiple complaints from parents regarding your conduct. You acted in a threatening manner toward Mr. Richard Hargrove during Parent-Teacher Day, made him feel unsafe, demonstrated aggressive behavior inconsistent with our school values. That's not what happened. Patricia looked up over her reading glasses. We have statements from 4 parents who witnessed the incident. All describe similar behavior. He was the one who escalated. I was trying to have a conversation about his son bullying my daughter. That's your version. The parents tell a different story. Maya leaned forward. Then let me explain. Patricia closed the folder. Effective immediately. You're placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Your campus access is revoked. The investigation will take 4 to 6 weeks. Will I be paid during the investigation? No. The word hung in the air between them. Maya's mind raced through numbers. Rent, groceries. Lily's school fees, 4 to 6 weeks, without income. I need this job, Maya said quietly. Then you should have considered that before making board members uncomfortable. Patricia stood. I'd suggest you think carefully about whether this environment is the right fit for you. Sometimes it's better to move on. You're telling me to quit. I'm suggesting you have options. Maya stood slowly. Her legs felt unsteady. Is there anything else? You'll receive a formal letter within 3 business days. If you're cleared, you'll be reinstated. If not, we'll discuss termination. If not, we'll discuss termination. Patricia walked Maya to the door, closed it the moment she stepped into the hallway. Maya drove home in silence. The Portland rain had started again. Gray sky, wet streets, windshield wipers beating a steady rhythm. She parked in her building's lot and sat there for 10 minutes, staring at nothing. 4 to 6 weeks, no income. Rent due in 2 weeks, she finally went inside. Made herself eat something, tried to sleep, couldn't. At school the next day, Lily walked to her locker before first period. The hallway was crowded, loud with morning chaos. She opened the metal door and reached for her textbook. Someone shoved her from behind. Hard. Lily stumbled forward, catching herself on the locker frame. She turned. Ethan Hall, smiling. Where's your mom? He said. Oh, wait. They kicked her out. Lily tried to walk past him. He blocked her path. My dad says she's gonna get fired. Says people like her don't belong here. A teacher appeared at the end of the hall. The boys scattered. Lily grabbed her books and ran. Jordan Park was crossing the main hallway when she saw it happen. She'd been watching Lily since Maya's suspension, noting the way the girl moved through school like she was trying to disappear. And she'd seen Ethan Hargrove circle her like a predator testing for weakness. Jordan followed the boys, found them laughing near the stairwell. "Ethan, come with me." The boy's smile faded. "I didn't do anything. Principal's office, now." She filed an incident report that afternoon, detailed what she'd witnessed, dropped it on Principal Watkins's desk personally. He glanced at it, set it aside. "I'll look into it." "When?" "When I have time, Miss Park." Jordan left his office knowing the report would go nowhere. That evening she drove to Maya's apartment complex, a rundown building on the east side, peeling paint, chain-link fence around the parking lot. Jordan found Maya's unit number on the directory and knocked. Maya opened the door, looked surprised. "Ms. Park, can we talk?" Maya hesitated, then stepped aside. The apartment was tiny, clean but cramped. A pull-out couch, a small TV, Lily's drawings taped to the refrigerator. "Lily's at a friend's house," Maya said. "What's this about?" Jordan got straight to it. "I saw Ethan push your daughter today. Filed a report. It won't matter. Watkins won't do anything." Maya's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. "I trained a long time ago. I told you that." "No, I mean really compete, high level." Maya looked away. "Why does it matter?" "Because the way you move isn't recreational. It's professional. Years of discipline. And if you have that kind of background, maybe there's a way to fight back against what Hargrove's doing to you." "There's no fighting back," Maya said quietly. "He has money. Power. Board votes. I clean floors. He's campaigning to have you fired permanently. Did you know that?" Maya's shoulders dropped. "Claiming you're a danger to students. He's got enough votes lined up. Even if the investigation clears you, you're done." The words settled between them like stones. Jordan stepped closer, lowered her voice. "Whatever you were before you came here, whoever you were, you can't stay hidden anymore. Because Hargrove's going to destroy you, and he's going to keep hurting your daughter." Maya met her eyes. "I can't." "Can't what?" "Go back to that life. I walked away for a reason." "Then what are you going to do?" Maya had no answer. "Or if you just need someone to talk to." After she left, Maya stood in the quiet apartment. Rain tapped against the windows. The refrigerator hummed. An hour later, Lily came home. She dropped her backpack by the door and went straight to her room without saying hello. Maya followed. "Baby, you okay?" "I'm fine." "Did something happen at school?" Lily didn't answer, just hugged her pillow. Maya sat on the edge of the bed. "You can tell me. I don't want to talk about it." Maya noticed the backpack by the door. Lily never left it there. She always hung it on the... She walked back to the living room, picked up the bag. The fabric was covered in permanent marker. Crude words scrawled across every surface. "Loser. Freak. Your mom is trash." Maya's hands tightened on the straps. She looked at Lily's closed bedroom door, then at the card Jordan had left on the counter, then at the window where rain streaked down glass like tears that wouldn't stop falling. Lily stayed after school for a makeup test in Ms. Chen's classroom. The hallways emptied out as buses left and parents picked up their children. By 3:30, the building... She finished the test early, handed it in, walked toward the main entrance to wait for her mom. Ethan Hargrove was waiting by her locker. 3 of his friends stood with him, bigger boys, older, 8th graders. Lily tried to turn around. "Go back to Ms. Chen's room." "Hey," Ethan called. "Where you going?" She kept walking. One of the boys blocked her path. Tall, athletic, wearing a Letterman jacket. Connor, she'd seen him around. He played basketball. Everyone said he was going to get a scholarship. We just want to talk, Connor said. Lily looked around. Just the five of them, and the sound of her own breathing. Leave me alone, she whispered. Ethan stepped closer. Your mom got fired, you know. My dad made sure of it. She didn't get fired. She will. He smiled. People like her don't belong here. Connor moved behind Lily, cutting off her escape. The other two boys flanked her sides. They were hurting her somewhere. The gym, Connor said. Let's talk in there. They pushed her forward. Not hard enough to make her fall, but firm enough that she had no choice. Down the hallway, through the double doors. The lights were off except for the emergency exits. Shadows stretched across the floor. Their footsteps echoed off the cinder block walls. Connor pulled out his phone. Started recording. This is gonna be good, he muttered to one of the other boys. They pushed Lily against the wall. She dropped her backpack. It hit the floor with a thud. Please, she said. I didn't do anything. Your mom did, Ethan said. She embarrassed my dad. Made him look bad. One of the boys shoved her shoulder. Not hard. Just testing. What are you gonna do? He said. Call your mom? They laughed. Her chest felt tight. She couldn't breathe right. Stop, she said. Her voice cracked. Please stop. Ethan shoved her again. Harder this time. Her back hit the wall. Connor kept filming, zooming in, making sure he got everything. Cry some more, Ethan said. That's all you ever do. Lily tried to move past them. One of the boys pushed her back. Then another. They were taking turns now. Laughing, calling her names, mocking the way she looked. The clothes she wore. Her mother. She started crying. Couldn't help it. Your mom's a freak, Ethan said. Everyone knows it. Maya was halfway across Portland when Jordan's text came through. Just 3 words. Get here now. She'd borrowed Jordan's staff badge that morning. A risk, but she'd needed it. Her campus access was revoked. Without the badge, she couldn't get through the doors. Maya drove faster than she should have, ran 2 yellow lights, pulled into the school parking lot, and jogged to the side entrance. The badge worked. The lock clicked green. She slipped inside. The building felt wrong. Too quiet. Please stop. Lily, Maya ran. Down the hallway, following the sound. Through the double doors into the gymnasium. She saw her daughter first, backed against the wall. Surrounded. 4 boys towering over her. One holding a phone. Recording. Maya's vision narrowed. Her breathing slowed. Every muscle in her body locked into focus. She stepped forward. Her footsteps were silent on the hardwood floor. Step away from her. The boys turned. Startled. Connor recovered first. Lowered the phone slightly, but aggressive. A threat. He didn't look threatened. This doesn't concern you, he said. Maya walked forward. Slow. Deliberate. I'm her mother. It concerns me. You're not even supposed to be here. You're fired. Step away from my daughter. Connor moved to block her path. He was tall, over 6 feet, athletic, used to using his size to get what he wanted, or what, he said. Maya stopped 3 feet away from him, met his eyes. Move. He laughed, looked back at his friends, making sure they saw this, making sure. Full force. Maya didn't move, not an inch. Her feet stayed planted. Her posture didn't shift. She absorbed the impact like it was nothing. Connor's smile faltered. The phone was still recording. Still pointed at them. The red light blinking in the corner of the screen. Maya looked past Connor. Looked at Lily. Her daughter's face was streaked with tears. Her eyes were wide, terrified. Something broke inside Maya. Something she'd been holding back for 3 years. Since James died. Since she'd packed that box and he was raising his hands again, getting ready to shove her a second time. Move away from my daughter, Maya said quietly. he laughed. Make me. His hands came forward. Maya shifted her weight, sank into her hips. Her feet slid into position, shoulders dropped, hands rose. The stance was automatic. Muscle memory from 10,000 hours in the dojo, traditional Kyokushin ... front stance, guard up. Connor froze. His hands stopped midair. The phone kept recording. For a long moment, centered, grounded. Her breathing was controlled, her eyes never left Connor's face. The boy stared at her. Something in his expression changed. The smile was gone. The bravado was gone. He was looking at someone he didn't recognize. Someone who didn't look like a janitor anymore. Maya moved. The kata began with a deep breath. Exhalation. Center of gravity. Dropping. Her right foot slid forward into front stance. Weight distributed perfectly, 50-50, rooted to the floor. Her hands came up. Not fists, open. The first strike was a straight punch that cut through the air with a sound like ripping fabric. It stopped 3 inches from Connor's face. He flinched, stumbled back a step. Maya didn't pause. The kata didn't allow for hesitation. Each movement led to the next in perfect sequence, choreographed by 10,000 hours of practice. Her body turned. Left foot pivoted. Right leg chambered high, knee to chest, then extended in a side kick that would have shattered ribs if it had landed. Instead, it stopped millimeters from Connor's midsection. The air displaced. The phone was still recording. Still pointed at her, the red light steady in the corner of the frame. Maya's movements accelerated, strike, block, strike. Low sweep that stopped before Connor's ankle. Rising knee that halted beneath his chin. Each technique executed at full speed but with absolute control. The precision of someone who knew exactly how much force she was using and exactly where it would land. Her breathing never changed. Steady, rhythmic. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The way she'd been taught 15 years ago. Connor tried to back away. Maya advanced. Front stance to back stance to horse stance. Her hands moved in combinations too fast to follow. Palm strike, knife hand, hammer fist. Each one stopping just short of contact. The other boys pressed themselves against the wall. Frozen, not moving, barely breathing. Lily watched from where she'd slid down to sit against the cinder block. Her tears had stopped. Her eyes were wide. Maya transitioned into the spinning back kick. The signature technique of Kyokushin, the move that had won her 3 of her 4 national championships. She pivoted on her left foot. Right leg whipped around in a perfect arc, hip rotation generating power that traveled through her core, down her leg, culminating in her heel. The kick stopped 1 inch from the gymnasium wall. The impact was invisible, but the sound wasn't. A deep thump that echoed through the empty space. The cinder block vibrated. A hairline crack appeared in the mortar between 2 blocks. Connor lost his balance, fell backward, landed hard on the hardwood floor. Maya didn't look at him. She continued the kata, right, the kind of technique that ended street fights before they started. She chambered for the final sequence, the combination that would hospitalize an adult opponent if executed with full contact. Elbow strike to the temple, knee to the solar plexus, downward hammer fist to the collarbone. Each movement flowed like water. Each one hit the air like thunder. The entire gymnasium had gone silent. No teenage laughter, no mocking. Just the sound of Maya's breathing and the whisper of fabric as she moved. She finished the kata in stillness. Front stance, not even slightly labored. Connor sat on the floor, staring up at her. His mouth hung open. His face had gone pale. The other 3 boys hadn't moved. They stood pressed against the wall like they'd been nailed there. Ethan's lips were trembling. Maya walked past Connor without looking at him. Crossed the gymnasium floor to where Lily sat. She knelt down. extended her arms. "Come here, baby." Lily pushed herself up, ran into her mother's arms. Maya picked her up. 7 years old, small for her age, light as air. She settled Lily on her. She walked toward the double doors. Her footsteps echoed on the hardwood. She didn't look back at the boys, didn't acknowledge them, just carried her daughter out of the gymnasium. The doors swung shut behind her. Connor sat on the floor for a long moment. His hands were shaking. The phone was still in his grip, still recording, the screen showing 11 minutes and 43 seconds of footage. He looked at Ethan. At the other boys, none of them spoke. He ended the recording. His finger trembled as he tapped the screen. Then he opened Instagram, posted the video. Added a caption without thinking about it. "Crazy janitor lady attacks students." Within 3 minutes, it had 15 views. 5 minutes, 60 views. 10 minutes, 200. The algorithm picked it up, started pushing it to broader feeds. Maya drove Lily home through Portland's evening traffic. Rain had started again. The windshield wipers beat a steady rhythm. Lily sat in the back seat, quiet, hugging her backpack. Maya's hands were steady on the wheel. Her breathing was normal. But something had changed. Something she'd kept locked away for. Her phone started buzzing. Unknown number. She ignored it. It buzzed again. Different number. She let it go to voicemail. A text message appeared on the screen. Then another. Then 3 more in quick succession. Maya pulled into the parking lot of their apartment building, put the truck in park, picked up her phone. The notifications kept coming. Instagram, Facebook, text messages, missed calls. She opened Instagram. Her account hadn't been active in 3 years. The last post was from 200, 500. Someone had tagged her in a video. Maya's chest tightened. She clicked the notification. The video loaded. 11 minutes, 43 seconds. Posted 18 minutes ago. Already had 15,000 views. The caption read, "Crazy janitor lady attacks students." Maya closed her eyes. Took a breath. Opened them again. The view count was still climbing. By midnight, the video had 100,000 views. Maya sat on the couch in the dark apartment, phone in her hand, watching the numbers climb. Lily was asleep in the bedroom. The comments section scrolled past. Most of them called her crazy, dangerous, unhinged. Connor's caption had framed the narrative, "Crazy janitor lady attacks students." But at 1047 a.m., someone posted a different kind of comment. "That's not an attack. That's Syanshin. Full contact. Kyokushin kata. Whoever this woman is, she's had serious training." The username was PDX Karate, Portland Karate Community. Maya's chest tightened. 3 minutes later, PDX Karate posted again. Posted, the parking lot was empty. Streetlights cast orange pools on wet asphalt. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. By 6 in the morning, the view count had reached 500,000. Maya hadn't slept. She sat at the kitchen table, coffee growing cold in front of her, watching her old life surface like something dredged from deep water. Someone on the martial arts forum had found old competition footage from 2015. The national championships in San Francisco. A side-by-side comparison video appeared. Maya in the gymnasium executing Syanshin. Maya, 8 years younger, 40 pounds lighter, in a white gi on a tournament mat, executing the exact same kata. The movements matched perfectly, frame by frame, the timing, the technique, the presence. The comparison video went viral on its own. 100,000 views in 2 hours. Comments started shifting. "Holy shit, that's Maya Rodriguez. I trained at her dojo in SF. She was legit, 4-time national champion. Why is a world-class martial artist working as a janitor?" At 8:15 a.m., Thomas Yamada posted on Instagram. The post showed a photo from 2016. Maya standing on a podium, gold medal around her neck, trophy in hand. Thomas beside her, his arm around her shoulders, both of them smiling. The caption read, "This is Maya Rodriguez. She is a 6th-degree black belt in Kyokushin Karate and one of the most skilled fighters I have ever trained." The video circulating online shows her defending her daughter with perfect control. Not one strike made contact. If you think what you saw was aggression, you don't understand martial arts. I am proud to have been her sensei. I am proud to call her my friend. The post had 10,000 likes in 20 minutes. Maya's phone rang. Unknown number. She didn't answer. It rang again. Another unknown number. Her email inbox flooded. Hundreds of messages. Former students, tournament organizers, journalists. People she hadn't spoken to in 7 years. At 9, Jordan Park called. Maya answered. "Have you seen it?" Jordan said. "I've seen it. It's everywhere. Local news just picked it up. Richard Hargrove has seen it too. He's already calling lawyers." "Of course he is, Maya." Jordan's voice softened. "You need to prepare yourself. This is going to get worse before it gets better." "I know." After Jordan hung up, Maya sat in silence. The view count on the original video had passed 1 million. Not news outlets were embedding it in articles. Social media was dissecting every frame. Lily woke up at 10. She came out of the bedroom in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Mama? Morning, baby. Why are you up so early?" Maya turned off her phone. Lily climbed into her lap, small arms around Maya's neck, warm weight against her chest. "I need to tell you something," Maya said quietly. "Okay, you know how I used to train in karate a long time ago?" Lily nodded against her shoulder. "I was really good at it. I won competitions, taught classes. It was my job." "Like a teacher?" "Like a teacher. But when your daddy died, I stopped. Because I wanted to focus on taking care of you." Lily pulled back, looked at Maya's face. "Did the boys tell people?" "They posted a... Are you in trouble?" Maya brushed Lily's hair back from her forehead. "I don't know yet. Will they make you leave?" "I don't know." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I don't want you to go. I'm not going anywhere, baby. No matter what happens, we stay together. Always. Promise? Promise." They sat like that for a long time. Lily eventually went to watch cartoons. Maya made breakfast, tried to maintain the routine, tried to pretend the world outside wasn't unraveling everything she'd built. By noon, the video had 3 million views. At 2000, Maya looked through the peephole. A courier in a uniform, holding a clipboard and an envelope. She opened the door. "Maya Rodriguez?" "Yes. I need you to sign for this." She signed, took the envelope. The courier left. The envelope was thick, expensive paper. A law firm's logo embossed in the corner. Maya opened it. The letter inside was 3 pages. Legal letterhead. Formal language. The words blurred together, but the message was clear. Cease and desist. Assault on a minor. Civil suit forthcoming. At the bottom, Richard Hargrove's attorney had included a personal note. "Ms. Rodriguez, my client intends to pursue this matter to the fullest extent of the law. We have evidence of your violent behavior and will be seeking both criminal charges and substantial financial compensation. I suggest you retain legal counsel immediately." Maya set the letter on the table. Her hands were steady. Her breathing was calm. 3 years of silence. 3 years of hiding. 3 years of being invisible. All of it gone in 11 seconds. Richard Hargrove hired the most expensive law firm in Portland. Within a week of receiving the cease and desist letter, Maya was served with papers for a civil lawsuit claiming assault, endangerment of minors, and emotional damages totaling $200,000. The school board scheduled a termination hearing. Maya sat in a conference room with fluorescent lights and gray walls, while Patricia Moore read from a prepared statement about liability and institutional values. Principal Watkins attended via speakerphone. He said nothing. But something had shifted. Martial arts experts were analyzing the video frame by frame on YouTube. A former Olympic coach posted a 10-minute breakdown explaining the technical precision required to execute a kata at full speed with zero contact. He called it a masterclass in control. A sports journalist wrote an article, "The Janitor Who Could Have Hurt Them But Didn't." Parents who had witnessed Richard's hallway tirade came forward. 3 of them submitted written statements describing what they'd seen. How Maya had remained calm. How Richard had escalated. How security had removed her while she'd done nothing wrong. Jordan Park testified at the hearing. She described finding Lily's vandalized backpack, witnessing Ethan's bullying, filing reports that went nowhere. She spoke for 20 minutes about institutional failure and Richard Hargrove's interference. The board voted to reinstate Maya, 4-3. The settlement was minimal. 2 weeks back pay, no apology, but the legal threats didn't stop. Richard's attorneys filed motion after motion. Discovery requests, depositions. Legal fees piling up faster than Maya could pay them. He was trying to bleed her dry, force her to quit, to moan. Then the crowdfunding campaign started. A former student of Maya's from San Francisco posted it. "Help Maya Rodriguez fight back." The story spread through the martial arts community like wildfire. Small donations. $5, $10, $20. They added up. In 3 weeks, $47,000. Enough to hire a lawyer. Enough to pay rent. Enough to breathe. Maya returned to work at Riverside Preparatory. The hallways felt different now. Students recognized her. Some smiled. But Lily couldn't go back to school there. Not with Ethan still in her classes. Not with the memories. 3 months after the gymnasium, Maya's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Maya? It's Thomas." Her chest tightened. She hadn't spoken to her former sensei in 7 years. "Sensei, I saw what happened. I'm sorry it took me so long to reach out." His voice was exactly as she remembered. Calm, steady. "I have a position opening. Teaching adaptive martial arts. Kids with trauma, disabilities, PTSD." Maya stood at her apartment window, looking out at the Portland rain. "The dojo includes housing assistance," Thomas continued. "Small apartment above the training floor. And there's a partner school 2 blocks away. Good school. They'd have a spot for Lily." "Thomas, you don't have to decide now. But Maya, you walked away once because you thought you had to. Maybe it's time to walk back." She thought about Lily. About the legal threats that kept coming. About Richard Hargrove's determination to destroy them. "I'll think about it," Maya said quietly. "That's all." 2 weeks later, Maya and Lily loaded everything they owned into a moving truck and drove south. 6 months after the gymnasium, Maya stood in the main training room of Yamada Dojo in San Francisco. Morning light streamed through tall windows. The smell of canvas mats and old wood filled the air. 12 students lined up in front of her. Ages 8 to 16, some in wheelchairs, some with prosthetics, some with scars visible and invisible, all of them looking at her with hope. "My name is Maya Rodriguez," she said. "I'm going to teach you how to be strong, not—" She taught 4 classes a week, worked with kids the world had told were broken, showed them they weren't. Lily trained 3 times a week in the beginner's class, made friends, smiled more. The tightness that had lived in her shoulders for months finally eased. At night, Maya and Lily would sit in their small apartment above the dojo and do homework together. Sometimes Lily asked about Portland, about what happened. Maya answered honestly. Simply, the way you tell a child the truth without burying them in it. "Are we safe now?" Lily asked one evening. News trickled back from Portland. Richard Hargrove was facing the federal civil rights investigation. Multiple families had filed complaints. The Board of Trustees had requested his resignation. He'd given it quietly, slipping away from public view the way powerful men do when their power finally fails them. On the anniversary of James's death, Maya woke before sunrise. She dressed in her training uniform for the first time in 7 years. White black belt, the fabric felt familiar against her skin. Lily was already awake, sitting at the small table, eating cereal. Of course. They walked down to the dojo together. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the San Francisco sky in shades of gold and pink. Maya unlocked the door. They stepped inside. The memorial wall was on the far side of the training floor. Photos of students, teachers, champions, people who had shaped the dojo's history. James's photo was near the center. 34 years old, smiling, holding a trophy Maya had just won. His arm around her shoulders. Maya lit a candle, placed it beneath the photo. Lily stood beside her. That's Daddy. They stood there in silence for a long moment. Then Maya stepped back onto the training floor, center of the room. She looked at Lily. I'm going to show you something, Maya said. The first kata Daddy ever watched me perform. What's it called? Gekisai Dai, Maya began. The movements came back like breathing, hands rising into guard position, step forward into front stance, block, punch, turn, each technique precise, each transition flowing into the next. Lily watched, mesmerized. When Maya finished, she turned to Maya walked Lily through it step by step, adjusted her stance with gentle touches, corrected her hand position, showed her how to breathe, how to move, how to hold herself with strength and grace. By the time they finished, sunlight was streaming through the windows. The dojo was warm with morning light. Outside, San Francisco was waking up. Cars passing. People heading to work. The city moving forward the way cities do. Lily executed the final move, a downward block that ended in stillness. She looked up at her mother, beaming. Maya, for the first time in 7 years, standing in the place where she'd learned to fight and learned to teach and learned to love, Maya felt whole. Not because she'd won, not because Richard Hargrove had lost, not because the world finally knew who she was, but because she'd protected what mattered. Because she'd shown her daughter that strength isn't violence, that power is choosing restraint, that the hardest fights aren't won with fists, but with the quiet decision to stand up when the world tells you to stay down. Outside the windows, San Francisco continued, and inside the dojo, mother and daughter stood together in the light, unbroken.